sorry I interrupted that last video. I got pulled over because a police officer was in my blind spot. So whatever, he pulled me over to see why I was slowing down. I wanted him to pass me, but Baruch Hashem, I didn't get a ticket. I mean, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I just wanted him to pass me. He just let me go right away when I explained it to him. So in any event, I was telling you the story of Rutherford B. And there was a Jewish man, Shomer Shabbos, who was offered a position, a government position in Washington. And then he informed them that he was Shomer Shabbos, he wouldn't be able to work on Shabbos, and he was turned down for the position. The word eventually got to President Hayes that indeed this was the case and what had happened. And President Hayes said, turn around, get that guy back here. If someone is willing, and the guy didn't protest, he didn't say anything. He said, if this man is willing to give up his job to keep Shabbos, to keep his Sabbath, that shows he's honest and has integrity. This is exactly the type of person I want to be working in the government for me. And they actually say, I remember years ago that President Trump was accused of saying that the only people he wants handling his money are the guys who wear yarmulkes all day. And people were saying that was a racist comment, but it shows really just the opposite, that this is a person who is an Oyev Yisrael. He grew up around from Eden in Brooklyn. The president, his father owned a building that housed a shul, and when there was issues with the shul, his father went out of his way to help the shul, and he was always very honored at the shul. And Donald Trump grew up with this, seeing an Orthodox shul in his father's building in Brooklyn, and he often did work there, and he was involved there in the building. And it's actually his father gave the room to the rabbi who was renting there to make the shul, and that's the schus, that's the merit. Supporting Torah is the merit for growth and for success. And Shabbos and all these things, supporting these things are that's how God blesses us in this world, and blesses all peoples through this. You don't have to be Jewish and you have the blessing. And the opposite is true too. I will bless those that bless you, curse those that curse you. People think that has something to do with a piece of property in the Middle East and the particular government. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with people who follow in the ways of Abraham, who keep Shabbos, including in the Holy Land also. I'm not saying not in the Holy Land, but it has to do with supporting people who do Torah and mitzvahs and Shabbos and learn Torah and daven. That's where the bracha comes from. And so, the Talmud says that if the nations of the world who destroyed the temple knew what they were destroying, they would have, and knew what benefit that they got from it in their lives, they would have put guards all around it to protect the temple and not have destroyed it. And so too, in our days, where is the Hashras HaShechina Bizman Hazeh? Where is the indwelling of the divine presence in our time? Is in the Batei Medrash, in the places where Torah is studied and Torah is observed. And so therefore, it's ironic what people are doing, how they're fighting Torah places. They're shooting themselves in the foot, because the non-Jewish people are blessed by Torah and mitzvahs. There's a story, my Maggid Shir from high school, from Moshe Weinberger. He says, by him was this story. I don't know, he was a chosin or he was a younger man at the time. He came up to Monroe to get a bracha from the old Satmar of This is when the Satmar was still alive, and it was when he was first miyasid Kiryas Kiryas 40 years ago. So Rabbi Weinberger, he didn't know his way around. It was his first time visiting there, and he was looking, trying to ask directions. He came to the gas station, was lost. There was a Gentile fellow there, and Rabbi Weinberger was a little scared. Oh, maybe he's anti-Semitic. These are the type of things that run through people's mind that shouldn't be. I can understand he grew up in a home where his parents were survivors, so these type of psychology is in their minds, people who grew up in those environments. But he was totally wrong. It was just the opposite. Not only this person said, he saw Rabbi Weinberger, he said, "Are you a friend of old Rabbi Joel?" That's what he said. He said, "Any friend of old Rabbi Joel is a friend of mine, because this town had nothing going for it until the Rebbe moved in, until the Rabbi moved in, and now we're all being blessed. Our material blessings are better because of the presence of this saintly man in our midst. And now that he's buried there also, it brings a blessing, not just to the Jewish community in Kiryas, but to the Gentile community around the surrounding areas in Monroe are also blessed by having a Makom Torah there. And their lives are much better. It's a beautiful town, and that's because of the blessing. You compare it to other towns around, it's because of the blessing that Kiryas Joel brings. And so the people who are fighting Kiryas Joel don't realize they're shooting themselves in the foot. The same thing in Bloomingburg, the same thing all in Falls, these communities where there's Torah. They don't realize that in actuality, the people who are fighting, which is a small minority, the majority of people don't fight these things. It's just a small vocal minority, and a lot of them are self-hating Jews who are fighting these things, when in reality, it's just the opposite. Their blessings are coming in because of the tzaddikim, because of Aaron Chayidim, because of Torah, because of Shmer Shabbos. There's a blessing that's going on everybody, because like it says, I'll bless those that bless you and I'll curse those that curse you. Everybody knows it's in the Bible. So because of this, this is how we have to have the approach. This is what we have to realize, that where the blessings come from, and the blessings are for everybody. So really, it's quite, and it's true. I mean, look at all of the places in history when they got rid of their Jews. What happened to these places? Poland went down the toilet into communism. Spain, after the expulsion from Spain, went very low. Now that they realize, and they're apologizing, they're trying to get up, because they realize that that's where the blessings come from. And it's not just, because Jews are good with money or things like that. No, it's because this is the conduit that God gave to send blessings into the world through Abraham. And that's why it is like this. So, like I said again, I hope we can build bridges, because everybody benefits like this. And also I hope that the Jewish community, though, on the other hand, should find humility and not make a chil Hashem, do things in a humble way, do things in the proper way, which they mostly do. For the most part, most of the accusations are false 99% of the time, and they make a big deal, when somebody gets arrested, and then they keep it quiet when they don't get convicted, or they make sometimes false convictions. It happens not only to Jewish people, but to lots of people. I mean, the incarceration rate in America is out of control, and there's a lot of people who are incarcerated who don't belong there. It's a very well-known fact. And there's a lot of reasons for it. A lot of it has to do with racism, and particularly from the Democrats, because the Democratic Party, their racism is more insidious than it used to be. Instead of the whole point of the Republican Party was to end slavery, so the Democrats have been trying to find ways to bring back slavery through prisons, and since they can't bring back slavery, they bring back lynching through abortion. That's a very well-known thing, that Planned Parenthood was founded on racist ideology, and it's basically lynching in the womb, because it's a very high level of abortion in the African American community. And that's because of how the Democrats have handled things. So in any event, there's a lot of issues that have to be dealt with, but for the most part, the cure for everything is Torah, mitzvahs, Shabbos. These are the keys to all the blessings. And I was reading from the Rebbe, that when the tzaddik that he said that the old Belzer Rav, Rabbi Dov of Belz, would go and daven by the kever of the Rebbe, Rabbi Isaac Kalaver. And Belzer Rav, he saw by his Echsanya a letter that Rabbi Isaac Kalaver wrote. He was a Rav in the community also, wasn't just a Rebbe, he was a Rav. And as was traditional in Hungary and in Galicia, generally the Rebbes were also the Rav, as opposed to they were chief rabbi and not just a Hasidic Rebbe. And not always, there were some Rebbes who were not the Rav. For the most part, they were both Rebbe and Rav, especially in Hungary and in Galicia. Again, not always, but generally was so. So Isaac Kalaver, he wrote a letter to the Rosh Hakol, to the president of the community, that he needed a raise as the Rav, because he wasn't able to support his family. And they said he had problems with one of his sons. And they said, so what Belzer Rav said, that when a tzaddik has parnosa, when a saint has a livelihood, has prosperity, it's good for him, it's good for his children, and it's good for the whole world. And that's part of the idea, that when you have this prosperity, then it brings blessing, because you have more clear mind, that you can accomplish things and not have to worry and just sit and learn and do Torah mitzvahs. I think myself, if I wanted to sin, God would bless me with more money, and it's my fault that I because of my sins, why I'm not blessed. But so we got to do tshuva and bless us. So it should be good, if not for my sake, but for my children and for the world and for everybody, that we should all do tshuva and be ehrlich and all become tzaddikim. We should have amich kulam tzaddikim. Even though I'm not a tzaddik, I'm a big Rasha. But it's not just for the big tzaddikim. It's even for anybody. If we use our money in the right way, and we can become ehrlich. It's not like the Chabad. They think you have to be born a tzaddik. So they say, v'amich kulam tzaddikim, like Yeshayahu Navi says. All Jews are tzaddikim, and that's the Indian. Even with the Tanya calls the Beinani would be tzaddik, according to just about everybody else. Most other Chassidim don't accept this, what the Tanya says, at least that doctrine, because it just doesn't make sense. It's not. It borders on things that are outside of Yiddishkeit. He has a good svara. I understand where he's coming from, Tanya, but still, it doesn't. It's not. It's not. We see the Navi says, "V'amich kulam tzadikim." Alright, well, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll have more videos to come. And thank you for watching.